Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to Lesson 25 in this series on developing a survival game. In this video, we will set up our equipment UI, which will have our equipment slots in it, and a temporary representation of our character. This video and this series have been brought to you by my Patreon sponsors. And with that said, fire up your project, and let's get started. Hi everybody, welcome back to the editor, and in today's video we're going to set up our equipment menu. So when we hit play and then hit I, we have this menu here, but we are going to have a menu. Let me just grab this head-mounted display that will appear over on the right hand side for us to equip items onto. So to start, what we're going to do is we're going to import a texture that we'll use as a placeholder. This texture can be found in the asset pack for this series. So if you open up the asset pack, we have this silhouette that I mentioned previously. We're going to import that today. Let's go over to Textures, UI, and in here, all we're going to do is we're going to drag this in. Now, I want to make a quick note about something, and let's just take a quick look at this. Well, actually, first, let's set this group to UI, and while we're here, I want to make a note about something. I want you to see what your source path is. This is because we're making a reference to a file. Notice when you ever import an asset from the marketplace, you always have this weird source file that might say somebody else's name, somebody else's computer, somebody else's file structure, etc., etc. One thing you can do is you can actually, let's just grab the Show in Explorer for a moment. So I open the other window. So here are all those assets. These are all references to them. You can actually bring these files over into there, and then it will ask you in UE4 if you want to import. That is one option to consider. But I'm digressing. That's not what this tutorial is about or the series is about in terms of optimization. So, in that part of optimization and file structuring. So I will leave that to you to look into at your own leisure. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to go into our core folder, go over to our widget, go to our widget elements, go to inventory, and find your inventory slot. We're going to duplicate, we're going to duplicate this, and this will become our equipment slot. All right, go back with one folder, create a new folder called equipment. I realize we only have like a couple of things that are actually going to go in there, but it's just easier. So take your equipment slot, drop it into your equipment folder, and let's go over there. Let's open that up, and let's set up our equipment. All right, so with our equipment slot open, I should probably just check what these are real quick. Oh yeah, no, I'm not so worried about that stuff yet. Let's go back to our main window here. And in our main window, what we're going to do, just really simply, really easy, really quickly, is we're going to take this number we have here. Well, we're not going to have a stack. We're going to delete that. And then I'm just going to rename everything from inventory to equipment. And I'm going to cheat. I don't care if I spelled that wrong. As long as the name is different, I'm going to highlight everywhere where I have the word inventory. And I'm just going to name this EQ slot background instead. And EQ button. And equipment image. That way I am sure that the names are different across both. All right, now we're done with the visual setup of our equipment slot. Let's go over to our graph. Our graph, we have, well, some things to do. First, we aren't gonna have this on hovered stuff, so that's why I'm not so worried about the bug. Just go ahead and delete it. Next, we are going to have, that's still on the unhovered stuff. We are gonna have an on click thing actually, and we will set that up in a little bit. Next thing I want to do is I want to delete this. We're going to create a new function for this in the next few videos. Let's compile real quick, save. You know, we can delete these two as well. So just pop open everything in here. We're going to make some other changes. We aren't going to use the as hovered. Where? Oh, get rid of this can get item description. We don't need that. Set max stack visibility. Get stack. I spelled stack wrong. Cool. Size text. We're going to go back to our inventory slot and fix that typo. go to your inventory slot and find that one and just change that from, I'm not sure what stack L is, which is why I mispronounced that because it threw me for a loop as I read it. All right. We do need the set stack and disable, set slot and disable slot. We need our buttons, of course. We need our index for reference. We'll talk about that later on. We need the is active. We do not need the is hovered. What we are going to do next is have our equipment type. This is the enum we made in the last video. So this is our equipment type enum. We will put this in placement, oddly enough. Or sorry, not placement. In details. All right. That takes care of most of what we want to do here. We're going to come back and clean this up in the next few videos. Next thing we want to do, though, is because we are going to be placing the slots on our inventories window instead of spawning them in like we do with our inventory system, which is why we're going to spend some time talking about this in the next video. By the way, be aware that we have to do things differently with our set and disable slot because of what we're doing. In fact, we're placing them instead of spawning them. What we have to do, though, however, prior to that is get references. We're not passing in references when these are spawned in. We aren't going to have this information pass in, so we have to create a function to get that. Well, technically, we don't have to create a function, but get OOP. We're creating a function called set slot details. And we're going to need our index. And we're just going to take from our index pin here and put that into that pin there. We need, oh, that also means that, hey, it's not something we can edit per instance. It's not exposed on spawn. Next, we need our inventory object or actor. Inventory actor, sorry, I named it object in my prep file. And we are going to take that and pass that out this way. And then we need to do our inventory, which also means, by the way, hey, nope, and nope. I mean, yeah, we could have them active that way, but here's the thing. We wouldn't have the information yet when we create this. We would be passing in nothing. It would be an empty coffee mug. Per my earlier example from, I can't remember what section I made that reference in. I think section 1, actually. All right, so after our inventory actor, we need a new one. And that is our inventory, oh no, wait, sorry, it's right there, inventory widget reference. Grab that one and pass that in. Put another lovely reroute in. Line that all up. And then add our usual friend, the return node. Again, no and no to that. All right, that takes us through what we need to do for the sort of prep work of what we are doing. Now comes the boring, long part that I honestly don't enjoy doing, which is setting up the actual UI system. Now, I said we're going to leave one of these exposed just so we have a reference point. Well, this is that reason and time that we're leaving this exposed for, is so that we have a reference point for where to place our equipment system on the screen. So this is where things get fun. First, what we're going to do is grab a border. We're just going to drop this onto the canvas panel. There's our border in the top right corner. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to anchor this border to the center right. I am going to set my position X to 0, Y to 0, and again, once we have this set up, feel free to mess with these numbers. I do recommend following along with the numbers I am using for now, just so that you know that you're getting something that's visually going to line up the way that we want it to line up. And I say that because, again, we'll be doing math around placing certain menus, like how we move this menu based on where the player clicks. So I'm going to put an alignment, thanks autosave, put an alignment of 1.05 by 0.5. I am going to size to content. All right. I am going to do a background, sorry, this should be our equipment outer border. I am going to do my alpha like usual at 0.6 or 0.5 as I think I've done before, I can't remember. But how we've done those borders on all this stuff before. And I'm gonna leave it all as is beyond that. I know we can't see it right now because it's size to content and it's hidden under that little widget notifier. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a vertical box. So I'm gonna scroll down to panels, find my vertical boxes, drop that into there, and this will be called my equipment box. You can see that little green circle or square in the left corner or right corner. Wow, square, circle, you'd think I don't know my shapes or left and my right. That's what size the content right now. Don't worry about that. It is going to be small for a moment. We will fix that in just a tick. So next what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 more borders to our vertical box. Remember, a vertical box is stacking one thing on top of another going down the screen. So we're going to grab 3 borders. So 1, 2, 3. And these will be the 3 sections of our equipment sort of UI. We're going to have a title, the equipment section itself, and our encumbrance system. So let's start with this one at the very top here. This is our equipment title box. And we will have it set to our darker gray, which is 0.047. Remember, closer to 0 is closer to black or darker, so we're going with that dark gray there. We will not change anything else here. And inside of this one, what we're going to do is grab our custom text. So we have our WBPC custom text and drop that in there. Now we can see our thing finally. And for our custom text, what we are going to do is we are going to type in the word equipment. And this will be our equipment title text. We will align this in the center, and you won't see an effect just yet. Don't worry about that. Everything else will leave the same. We're actually done with this one, so we can close that for just a moment. Oops, that was not the right button. Let's grab our second border on our list, and this border will be our equipment border, because I couldn't think of a better name for it. It's the main part of our equipment system. Yeah. And we're going to go with a lighter gray in this one. So we're going to go with 0.41, 0.41, 0.41. We'll leave the alpha as is. Everything else is as is, I think. Of course, you know, I'm trying to follow my prep file, but if I make a mistake, yeah, it happens. So we are going to have inside of here a horizontal box with 3 parts. So let's go to our panels, grab our horizontal box, and drop it into our equipment border. And inside of this, we're just going to name this our primary equipment anchor. Sorry if you can hear my chair squeaking in the background or doing whatever it's doing. And we're going to have in here 3 vertical boxes. So 1, 2, 3. We're actually going to start with the second of these vertical boxes. So the second one here, which is the non-special one, oddly enough, is our body image anchor. And all we're going to do in this one is have a single image inside of it. So if we go to our common and go to image and drop it in there, there we go. Sorry, I'm just having a slight paranoid moment for a moment. That was just weirdly phrased. We're going to put in a T human silhouette. Now this is a placeholder texture, and Jesus, notice how much of the screen it takes up. Well, we're going to just stretch it a tiny bit, or shrink it. It's going to stretch a tiny bit, unfortunately. We're going to just set that 341.1 by 512. There we go. And we can kind of see where things are going to sit. So that's the easier part, and we're done with this. Actually, we're going to center this just to make everything a lot easier. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the vertical box to the left here, and also there's one to the right. And we're going to name this our equipment slot, or slots plural, anchor. We are going to mark this as is a variable or is variable. And in here, what we're going to do is we are going to find our equipment slot. Drop 1 in. There we go. We're going to give it a padding of 5. Drop a... Hang on 1 second. I did skip a step. Go back to the equipment slot. Select the equipment type there. And this is something we want to be instance editable. You know what I'm trying to say when I say it. You know why I avoid saying that word. And we also do want this exposed on spawn. All right, compile, save, go back here, and let's select our equipment. There we go, which is the equipment type head there as default. We have a padding of 5, as I said. Next, we're gonna grab a, I don't like how this just reopens everything. All right, we're gonna grab the equipment slot again, drop it in there one more time. Actually, we're gonna do this a total of 4 times. And we're gonna put a padding of 5 there. We're gonna change this one to body. And we're just gonna take these 2 and duplicate them. So we have 4 in there, each with a padding of 5. Now, let's just rename these real quick. So this will be our head. I hate UMG's body. This will be our legs. If you've done hands instead of feet, put hands here, I'd recommend. I don't know. It's their choice. And feet or hands or whatever their last body part is for equipment. And we have our equipment system lined up there. Now, we haven't set our indexes. We could do that by hand. We could have exposed it on spawn and just set our indexes, but I'm going to show you a different way to do that. But before we do that, let's just move over to the other vertical box we have here, which will be our weapon box. So we have, or a weapons anchor, because we named it equipment anchor. Actually, yeah, we'll just call it equipment anchor. We're gonna mark it as is variable. And this one, we're going to set the vertical alignment to center. Otherwise, we will run into issues. And that's because we only have 3 weapon slots instead of 4. So we're going to grab 1, 2, 3. Of course, I just grabbed the wrong thing. That was the harvest prompt instead of the equipment slot. 3. There we go. And what we're going to do for these is we're going to do the same padding of 5. This will be weapon 1, by the way. Just gonna Control C that. And it will be of type weapon. Padding is 5. Next one will have a padding of 5 as well. It will be weapon 2. It will be marked as weapon. And we will do the same for this one. Mark it as weapon. Weapon 3. Padding of 5. And there we go. We have our basic window set up. We'll have a menu that we'll put in later on. We can minimize that, and that. Let's go down to our lower border here, and we're going to do our weight. So our encumbrance system. I'm going to just call this weight border. And I'm going to use, again, that darker gray. So we have the contrast at top and bottom of 0.047, 0.047, 0.047. I can't believe I just said contrast. Right. I'm going to quietly judge myself. And then we're going to have inside of here a horizontal box. So grab your horizontal box, drop it into there. This will be our weight box. And we're going to have 2 bits of text in here. So let's grab our custom text, drop it into the weight box, and let's go into it, center align. We're going to change the padding, but only on one aspect. We're only going to change it on the left. We want a padding of 5 on the left and 0 everywhere else. We are going to change the text to say carry weight. And everything else, actually we're gonna set this to fill. We'll leave this at 1. Don't worry that it's centered for now. We'll fix that in just a moment. We're going to put another custom text into our weight box, and notice now the text is moving over. Let's actually just rename this as carry weight text. This one will be our carry weight stat text. Again, I couldn't think of a good name. Carry weight stat text. And all we're going to do here for our text is we are going to set it to fill. We aren't going to have any padding on this one. We are going to horizontally align it though. We are going to put in curly bracket 99, curly bracket space, space slash another space, curly bracket 99 or 999. I know how to count. I know how to read numbers. What are you talking about? And there we go. We have our basic sort of visual side of this set up. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to actually set this up so that it has meaning. So we can get rid of the print strings from our player character. However, to do that, we need to get certain information from our player character. So we're going to go back to our interfaces. Clearly, I jumped there just to make sure I didn't already have that set up. And we're going to just check here that we don't have a weight getter that we would have for like our health or our stamina. So we're going to create those. And just because I'm concerned about reusing the same namespace, I get max carry weight. Actually, it's going to be I get carry weight. We're going to do it in the same order. We get the current first. And this is a float with a return of a type float of current carry weight. And we will put this into the category of our stats. We will then do a new one of I get max carry weight. Again, it will have a return of type float. And this will be the max carry weight. Again, the name is just there to make life easier. It doesn't actually have to actually say what it is. It's just a thing of convenience. Compile, save. Even though with the compile step on the system, it automatically saves for me. Go to your character, go to your first person character, and there are a lot of flashlight events. Ooh, we should move this into our correct folder of equipment flashlight. All right, let's just move this all to the right for now. Close tabs to the right. Go to interfaces, go to stats, go to set carry weight, go to stats in the variables, weight, total carry weight. Let's do the same for our max. Grab our max, plug that into there, compile, and head over to the UI. With this text selected, our carry weight stat text, scroll down to where we've put the text in. And we're going to create a new binding there. So create binding, and this binding will be our set carry weight text. So we're actually kind of setting it. Or, yeah, set carry weight text. We're going to just bring this out this way for a moment. What we're going to do is do our format so you can see why we're doing what we're doing. And we're going to do curly bracket carry weight, closing curly bracket, space, slash, space, max carry. And you notice now we have two inputs. Well, if we get our player character, we can now get interface messages to I get current, or I get carry weight. There we go. And we can break that, plug the execute pin back in, and plug that into carry weight. We can then put a reroute here, line those up, and do I get max carry weight as a message again. Plug the two messages into each other in terms of the execute pins. And then we can take our return value from here and plug that into max carry weight, and then plug the execute pin back in, line this all up, make it look a little bit nicer and neater. And if you really want them not to cross, you can do these two values in reverse. You really can't change these two around unless your language has the reverse of, if you're reading from, it has a reverse sort of mathematical notations, I guess. All right, so let's just kind of test this out, make sure it's working. Let's go to our main editor window, hit play real quick, hit I, 0 of 150. That's good. Getting a little bit of a vignette that I'm not expecting to see there. That might just be because we're still compiling some stuff. Let's pick up the head-mounted display. It is 1.5. 1.5. That's why I put that in there, by the way. I think I set this at 140. Yep, 140. There we go. So that's working. Let's grab one of the. That's going to be like 26 of them. Let's grab this one because that's one of them. So 142.5, 14.25, and we have that system set up. So we can go back to our first person character now, close both of these windows out, and scroll over to our, not our hunger system, our encumbrance system. And just grab that, plug that execute pin into there, select this print string stuff, and say goodbye to it. We won't miss it, because print strings are nasty. I mean, they're great for debugging and testing and proof of concept stuff, but meh. All right, now let's just do one more test, make sure it's still working. Pick up our meat cube here, it's 140, and we are all good to go. So in this video, we have set up our equipment system menu here. Yeah, these slots are active even though they shouldn't be because there's nothing in them, but we'll be taking care of that in the next video. We've set up the slots themselves, and we've set up our encumbrance counter down at the bottom, our weight carry weight counter at the bottom of our screen. All of that said, if you've enjoyed working on this project, setting up the equipment system, setting up your inventory system, etc., etc., make sure to hit the like button below. It does really help this channel out. If you want to help this channel out, consider supporting this channel on Patreon. This video has been brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Quad Menson, Gawa, Rian, Hannes, Connor, and 1Volt10. Patreon sponsors at upper tiers get instant access to all ongoing YouTube projects, and Patreon sponsors at other tiers get access once the project is completed. If you want to be here when we continue working on our equipment system, make sure to hit the subscribe and notify bell below. All of that said, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.